Hello, and
Hello,
welcome
everyone.
to this week's umbraCoffee. Sadly, Marcin cannot join us today. He is both on holiday and he slacked me. He sent me a Slack message just before we went on air saying he is very drunk at a wedding that he was at yesterday and it's still partying. So, yeah, he's he's not able to join. We have the fantastic Simone here today.
Hi, everyone.
And we're gonna go through the news and we're gonna talk about some of the cool stuff you've been doing with the EU Council.
Yeah.
I think it's been a pretty busy week, not just in the Umbraco world, but there's been a lot of activity on Twitter and particularly around a kind of sensitive subject, maybe, of the World Cup. And I saw this tweet from Dave earlier in the week saying that he's going to delete all of Stefan's code from the code base now that France beat Belgium in the World Cup. But you said before we went on air, Simone, you're not that sensitive about about this being Italian.
No, not really soccer fan. But yeah,
that's
I'm in Belgium, and I also kind of a bit involved in this. But
yeah. Well, there was some threats there, and I think yeah, you said maybe the delaying game is a French thing because V8's also 4 years late. Anyway, yeah, very amusing to kick off the week. But in actual serious news, there was a really nice thread. Did you see this, Simona? About making the back office friendly?
No, I missed this one.
Okay, so there was a really good discussion started by Owen Williams just about how we can make the CMS a little bit more user friendly, and he wanted the views of editors and other people to chip in. And we had a ton of developers get involved, but also people that maybe don't write code, such as Adam, or even one of our project managers actually did her first Our Umbraco post ever. Big high five you're up to Katie. And it was really, really good to see people start to kind of collaborate. And this discussion is ongoing, so I'll post a link in the description of this. What else has happened this week? Code Cabin. Simone, did you apply to Code Cabin?
Actually, I wanted to, but I have some other commitment for the period. So last year I wanted to go, but it was also in the same period. So
yeah, it's a toss-up.
I managed to apply.
It
looks like an incredible idea and awesome way to meet other people and do some good pull requests.
Yeah, it was a toss-up between Code Cabin or applying to Code Cabin and US Fest for me, or Umbraco US Fest. I'd love to go to that. So I think maybe that's going to be what I go for. A load of people got accepted, I think this week, didn't they? Emails being posted up on Twitter. Can you remember any of the list off the top of your head? There's quite a few.
Well, I don't know exactly. I think Emma was
yeah, Emma Burstow. Yeah,
I think as well.
Yeah, and taking photos. There's a couple of people from HQ going, so that's I think Sebastian and Ruda.
Yeah, maybe.
And others as well. There's been countless tweets this week. There's been meetups as well. So we had Anthony Dang joked earlier in the week on Twitter that I'm going to be up for the Socialite of the Year award. I've been to 3 meetups, or 2 meetups this week, and I've got another one next week. So I did a talk at Bristol about Azure Functions. Last night, actually, we did a really great session in London for the London meetup. We did a retrospective. You might see here the Jason Prothero came over. He's over on holiday from the US. And we kind of just did a discussion about how we can make our meetup group even better. And yeah, and it was a really, really productive evening, actually. Worked really, really well. Did you go to the Belgian meetup a few weeks ago?
Yeah, definitely. I was there. Actually, we also had Stefan coming over to our office to do some consulting before, and then take advantage of the fact that he was coming to Belgium to steal him for a day, and then we went together to the conference. This meetup was really amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know Stefan's been a very busy guy this week. Actually, there's been quite a few pull requests merged as well. So some from the V8 hackathon that happened a few weeks back. Marcin said that he's had. I think he had 2 pull requests. Yeah, there we go. So he had two pull requests merge into the core. And also about, I think Anthony had a few other people from our V8 hackathon. So Stefan's had a busy week reviewing and approving those. And I noticed yesterday, in fact, Michael did a pull request he just updated all the French translations for the back office too. And it got merged pretty quickly. Good. So it seems like Stefan's really, really on it. And talking about kind of different languages and things, it maybe ties us nicely into why you're here, Simone. So the EU Council is a site that you've been working on for quite a while.
Yeah, it's about 2 years that we are working on that. Actually, it's been launched like last October, and now now we are working on some other projects based on Umbraco. But yeah, the project for which I'm, let's say, famous about is this 24 languages one-to-one translation. One-to-one translation, and well, that's about it. 24 languages managing, and they say that the peculiar part of this project is that the people don't log into Umbraco to edit the translation, because we have 800 translators working on it, and they don't just translate the website, they also translate legislation and other documents. So you don't want 2 different tools for doing their own job. So we built a kind of export and import based on standard-based XML standard, which is called XLib. And that's yeah, they've been working on this, and together with Shannon, we are trying to find a way to put at least as package or maybe into the core for V8. There has also been I don't know if you've seen this a new on the issue tracker. There has been some discussion going on the fact of removing completely the current legacy translation section, and there has been some discussion on making it better and making it new. Also, that one is still based on ASPX. It's not Angular, so it's kind of very old. So the idea was to get rid completely of it and eventually change it to something new.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So you also Niels tweeted last week, didn't he, about some of the headless stuff that you've been working on. So this is not with the headless Umbraco, but it's headless Umbraco headless, but it is with your own REST API implementation.
Yeah, indeed. We've been trying to push a lot to Umbraco now that also the managers and all the other directors of the other directorate have seen that Umbraco has a good potential. We're trying to expand the, let's say, the usage of Umbraco throughout all the council. So we have the main website. Then we have 2 or 3 other projects running on Umbraco as well, and some are pretty visible, like this one we just launched. It's basically we are using Umbraco as a headless CMS to feed the information to this web application, to this mobile application, which is done on Ionic. The application gets information also from meeting planning, which is a custom, legacy, let's say, database that we have. But all the part that is not agenda is coming from Umbraco. So we have how to reach the council, the restaurant, if you see there, I don't know if there is a picture of this. There is a map somewhere where you can see where are the water fountains, where are the printers, where are
that's really helpful.
The coffee places, the toilet, maybe this one on the left.
Yeah.
And this is also done with Umbraco, and we built something that allows you in the backend to pinpoint, to click on an image and pinpoint the location and say, oh, here is a water fountain or a printer, and then people can.
Wow, that's really cool. And you say all of that data is managed through the CMS?
Yeah, apart from the agenda part, everything gets managed through the CMS.
And it's all, how many languages did you say?
No, that's just the English, this one.
Just the English.
Maybe English and French. Yeah, I think it's English and French. But this is basically a working tool. It's not like for the general public.
Yeah.
People can still get it because it's public, but if you don't have login, you can't see the real political stuff. But normal people can still go, because there is another thing that we have building. Indeed, it's still as a headless CMS. It's a visitor center for the council. It's opening, I think, this week. And there basically there are some touchscreen computer, and also there is a front-end application done with Ionic, and there is a quiz and some slideshow that you can do with the touch, and then you can do, and also all the information are coming from Umbraco as well, and this is also in 24 languages.
Wow, that's
if you
incredible.
want to come to Brussels, you can register and ask for a visit, and you can go and visit the visitor center.
That's really, really cool. So the gist of it is you built a massive multilingual setup in Umbraco to power a website, but then also you're powering an app via REST APIs off the back of that, and you built it in Ionic.
Yeah,
that's really, really cool. I'm actually interested how you found working with Ionic. Maybe there's even a blog post or something in it, because we've done some stuff with Xamarin and a few other different pieces of tech to deal with, to pull data from web APIs that may come from Umbraco or elsewhere. And we explored Ionic, and we explored Cordova, and we explored a couple of different of the technologies. And I wonder why you chose that, and maybe other people in the community have got thoughts on the best tech to use to build a smartphone app for your to consume Umbraco data.
Oh, we chose in Ionic because in our IT department we have people that know .NET, people that know Java, people that know JavaScript different. Well, if we were to use Xamarin, only the .NET team will be capable of doing applications. While with Java, everybody kind of should know a bit of Java, let's say.
Yeah.
And then we started with Ionic because we did another application which is still published on public site, but it's basically a static application. There is no data coming from any backend. It's a voting emulator for simulating how country can vote, and if a law will pass, if I don't know, Germany and France vote for something, and I know Latvia and Poland vote for something else. And this application runs on 3 different environments: a local environment that is the real like legally binding voting result, and then it runs as a simulator on the website and a simulator on a mobile application. So since the logic for calculating the vote is kind of complicated, we built a library in JavaScript, and then we are using exactly the same in all the 3. So that's what basically the original idea why we started doing a smartphone app with the JavaScript framework was because we wanted to reuse this library everywhere without rewriting it from scratch. And then it's Angular, and it's based on Cordova. So Ionic is a kind of UI framework and some helper function and helper CLI thing on top of Cordova, which is the one that, while Cordova is the actual layer that interacts with the phone. So, and we are doing well, we are building a video portal still as a kind of headless CMS. An Angular 6 front end and JavaScript API on the back end as well.
Wow, that's really cool.
Everything it's Angular, so we have a good experience on Angular inside the team. So that's the reason why we use the Ionic.
Awesome. That seems like a really good decision. We chose Xamarin because we're mostly all .NET developers. So as you say, it's kind of choose the right tech for you, not just
this way also people from the Java team can work on it, because otherwise it's we have more, let's say, power to build the application.
Yeah, and so looking at the chat, Ismail has asked the question, how are you making this voting app Putin proof? Asking for a friend. So can you share any insight into how kind of what you've done to secure?
Well, the voting app, it's basically running on an internal network, so that is shielded from everywhere else. So that cannot be accessed from anywhere. The other is just a simulator, so it's just for people to play around and see what would happen if.
Yeah. That's really.
I don't know
cool.
if I can share a link. I don't know. Maybe I can. I can send you the link later, so you can put it.
We'll put a link in the description if you can send that over to us. That would be awesome. That sounds really, really cool. And I look forward to seeing the the great work that you continue doing with the EU Council, because as we said, just at Code Garden, you were doing a talk on the website that you've done all this multilingual stuff, and now you've got this headless app. So it'd be really interesting to see what else you do. Maybe we could take a quick look at some other news. I think this was also spoken about at Code Garden a little bit, but there was a social media survey done by Josephine, who's like a graduate or an intern at the HQ, and she studied how people engage with the community, and got some really interesting feedback. So people saying that like how they compared Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and their engagement across all the different platforms, and it's been summarized nicely in this blog post. There's also some really good quotes about kind of improvements. Using one primary platform to publicize news, a different platform to publicize kind of social, more personal things. Some really good things. And I think Josephine actually graduated with a really good degree recently. So massive high five you rock to Josephine. What else? The US Fest. I mentioned this earlier, but they've done a nice blog post about the reasons you should attend, why you should come to Chicago, what kind of sessions there's going to be. So yeah, that looks great. Also this, which I think this actually, Umbraco on-premise deployment was a big discussion topic yesterday at the London meetup, and we've at Cogworks been fortunate enough to be beta testing this for the past month or so. And they've shared their plans for how Umbraco Cloud, they're going to take some of the best bits out and let you host them yourself. There's a closed beta program now, but it will end in August, and then eventually that will come out to the public. I don't know, are you doing any kind of content deployment or content migration for the EU Council with a site that big? That's surely quite a challenge.
Oh, actually, we don't do really content deployment between environment, but we were thinking. Stefan mentioned it when we came over to the Belgian meetup. And, yeah, we do deployment of document types and stuff. So those would be at the moment we're using usync, but it's well, it has some issues somewhere. So we're not trusting 100% what is happening. So that could be a way to try something new, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We've actually been testing it on one of our sites that's got quite a lot of content, similar setup where we've got, I think, 20 countries or something in the one Umbraco instance with different structures and different multilingual content. So we've been putting it through its paces, I think, or we've been trying to anyway. Okay, what else? Oh, yeah. So I saw this post, in fact, just before we went on, and I think it looks quite good. I haven't had a proper read of it yet, but I intend to. You mentioned a load of integrations with the EU Council stuff, and someone's done a HubSpot integration with Umbraco via like submitting a form, and it goes into HubSpot. Looks really cool. Another big discussion on Twitter this week was about Umbraco upgrades. What version is the EU Council running, and do you keep it up to date?
We try to. The main site is running on 7.6, I think, while these other web headless one are running on 7.10 or 7.9 or something like that.
Okay.
But the reason that box sorry?
Relatively up to date.
Yeah, well, this main site is a bit behind because we did some customization to some of the core code, and so that's a bit tricky to merge with the new, because between 7.6 and 7.7 there was a huge change in the JavaScript for the backend. So merging those changes is a bit tricky. So we still, it's lacking a bit and not doing it yet.
Sure, and I guess upgrading a site of that size is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Well, if it was not for this custom thing that we did, it would be pretty simple. And everything that we do via extensibility. Just a few things that are really JavaScript UI part of the backend that you can't do via the extensibility, that you have to actually change the code. that are a bit more tricky to migrate, especially since they changed a lot the structure of the HTML and the backend in between. So
Yeah.
we will try this summer when there is less work to do, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And so maybe when you do come up against upgrading, you may experience this issue, which has been discussed quite a lot this week. We've had it before on one of our sites. If you upgrade from 7.6 up to the latest Umbraco, you can't log into the back office. There's a problem with migrations. And the Friendly Off-Road Code have done a nice blog post about the things you can watch out for, the things you can change to get it working. And I think as well, I posted a link to some issues on the issue tracker that have some tips for this as well. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Simone, did you have anything else that maybe I've missed?
No, I think that's it.
Cool. I think maybe there's a couple of quick shout outs as well. Oh, hold on. There was something I missed. The Umbraco Poland Festival 404 page has gone up, and it's wonderful. Everyone was everyone liked this on Twitter. So yeah, I think I can't remember who it was. Tom Madden has been calling everyone out on Twitter this week. If you don't have a custom 500 or a custom 404 page, and we got this one. Well, Marcin got this one up within like an hour. So yeah, quite an entertaining one. And talking of PL Fest, I think on Tuesday we're doing a 2 for Tuesday promotion. Our insane marketing team have come up with a fantastic, very innovative idea of you buy one, get one free on Tuesday. So if you want to come to Poland, enjoy hopefully some nice weather, very cheap beer, very cheap food, very cheap accommodation, lovely country. Come to Krakow, book your PL Fest ticket for September. Tuesday is one of the best times to do that. Anyway, yeah, I think that's it. If there's nothing else from you, Simona, I think we say goodbye and we wish everybody a lovely weekend.
And good final for the World Cup.
Oh, yes. Anyway.
Go Croatia.
Oh, okay. Cool. Have a lovely weekend, everyone.
See you. Bye.
Bye.